Okay, so there are a few quick disclaimers about my first impressions. So if you want to skip this, there are timestamps in the description, but a few of these are important notes. So, number one, this is a beta test, and certain things are not finalized. Like, I don't have the final lenses, for example, and I am using the DMAS audio as the stock audio solution is currently having some big work done, which should hopefully improve it next update. So I want to wait till that's done to try that one. And some of the stuff here is, of course, subject to change because of that. Number two, because of this, I am not going to be giving a full in-depth review, as I have a lot of technical details I would like to cover in the full one, and there's still some missing features, and if I did a full review, it may very well be outdated within the month by the beta test's end. So, however, despite that, I'll still be looking at a few important things in brief that are core features, such as the performance, the local dimming, FoV, clarity, those things. So just brief impressions of that. But I'll save the more super in-depth look for some other videos. Number three, I am using Nvidia Broadcast during most of these recordings because I got the fan back there on me because this thing is very hot while I'm in VR. But I am not using it on the in front of the camera sections right here. So this is just the raw audio. Also, one last thing, new 4x3 recording format so I can get as much as the crystal's FOV as I can. That out of the way, let's jump in. Okay, so just to kick things off, I figured, why not, start with TestHMD. It's got quite a few good things to put the crystal through its paces. We're going to save the FOV for last because I got something I'm going to want to talk about there. So let's start, let's start with the visual clarity test. This is probably because the crystal's famous for its clarity, and that's what everyone's raving about, so why not give it a go? Okay, so from right here, at about 5 meters away, I can read... Yeah, line 10 is pretty clear to me. It's like F, D, P, L, T, O... E, O, I think. Yeah, and so line 10 is pretty legible. Everything, that's about kind of edge legibility. It's still mostly easy to make out. But line 11, I feel like I can sort of get a vague idea of stuff, because I can identify there's kind of an L in the middle right there, and then I think that's a T or a P, two to the right of it. But, line 11, I still can't quite make out the details, at least from this distance. But let's see how close I gotta get to... Oh, wait. A little bit. Okay. Yeah, about 4 meters away. Then, line 11, I can read that. That's like a P or F, E... Let's see. I think that's R? O, L, O, T... No, F, T, D. Yeah. So, that's really good. Let's take a closer look at this. Okay, yeah, I got some of them wrong, but I did a pretty decent job, I think. I think on the 8KX, I was here, maybe? I was somewhere around this. So that's... maybe I was between line 7 and 8. But that's a huge improvement in clarity, and that's already a really good start. Let's go check out the glare test. Yeah, I mean, there's basically no glare here. The local dimming's putting in work, and the aspheric lenses are too. If I'm able to capture a good shot of it, this is where I will show some through the lens footage if I get what I feel it properly represents. But again, really good. There's basically no glare. And coming from Fresnel lenses, this is just beautiful. Because even the better Fresnel lenses, which don't have much glare, like the G2 or the other Pimax lenses, they still have it. So to then see it totally gone, it's pretty transformative. Okay, so now we're going to get to the one everyone's been waiting on, the field of view. And I think we're going to have a lot to talk about, so let's just go ahead and get to measuring this. Let's see, make sure that's perfectly straight. Okay. Okay, right about... Okay, wait. So, about There, I can't see the top anymore. But I can still see the bottom, quite a bit of the bottom. So let's keep going on the bottom. Yeah, I can't quite see 102, but I feel like I can see a tiny bit past 100, so I'm going to call that like 101. So that's a pretty good result. So we got like 101 vertical. Let's take a look at the horizontal now, shall we? All right, here. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, wait. All right, yeah, it's, again, kind of feels like a plus or minus one, so I'm going to call that like 100, 101 or so. So, you know what, no, actually, I'm going to call it 102. Yeah, I just barely see it. I'm calling that 102. So, the results here. 100 or 101 vertical, and 102 horizontal. So we got a bit to talk about here. Let's just have a little seat here. Have a bit of a fireside chat here with Omni. So we have a bit about to talk about for FoV, and excuse me if there's going to be some cuts here, because I said I wasn't going to get too technical into this, but this is the one part where I'm going to break my rule just a little bit and get into a few details, because I think this is important. Yeah, so firstly, these are my subjective results. These are just purely what I can see. This lines up with like almost every other source that has reviewed this stuff, like MRTV. I think he got like 102, 102. Voodoo, I forgot his vertical, but he's using a version of TestHMD which has some vertical problems. But he got about 102 horizontal. Another one of the beta testers from China, I believe, got like around this or so after some tweaking. But the thing is, Pimax is claiming 125 horizontal. And they're the only ones who are saying this. Every other metric is getting around these results. And the thing about this matches up with the rendered FOV. Now, what is the rendered FOV? That's basically what the headset itself is telling the applications to render. Because if it doesn't know what to render, then it doesn't know, like, do I render 10 degrees or do I render 100 degrees? Grab that number, the headset itself reports to applications.
Quick editor's note before I get too deep into this. After some talking with Pimax, I'd like to note that the current test lenses we have may not have the exact same values and distortion profiles of the final ones, so some numbers may change a bit between now and the final lenses. I will retest things another time once everything's all finalized and set.
This lines up with that. And you can't have more than the rendered FOV, because one of two things are there. You're going to get one of two things happening. Either there's something wrong with the test you're doing if you're getting more than the rendered, or the image is being stretched to fill a wider FOV that your eyes see. But the actual, your world and how it lines up with your vision versus the virtual world isn't going to line up properly. Like, everything seems depth correct here and lines up well. So, like, if I move my hand a little bit like here, that lines up in the virtual world and the real world. But if the image was stretched to cover more, I would run into problems where it might not line up, and that gets a distorted and warped image. If you want to see what that looks like, just take your whatever image you have, throw it in the image editing program, and resize it horizontally without maintaining the aspect ratio. You'll see things start to get distorted and warped. And this is abridging a huge amount of details because I don't want to, this is just off the cuff and unscripted, so I want to save all the technical stuff for when I have everything on me and my full review. But like, if you want to see the full details, I'm going to link a excellent article about the whole importance of rendered FOV. But like, very long story short, if you say you can see more than the rendered FOV, it's like saying that you can see 27 inches on a 24-inch monitor. More FOV simply doesn't exist than what is rendered, assuming you're doing everything right. That it's not just like a variance of the tools you're using or whatever, it's literally what the headset is telling the applications to render. So I don't know how Pimax is getting 125 degrees. I don't. If they have their own software that they use to like measure this stuff and they want to let me use it, I'll happily show it on camera and me measuring it. I'll even measure like the Quest 2 and the 8KX in it if they want me to. But as of right now, like I haven't seen a single person even get close to what Pimax is claiming. So I'm perplexed at how they're getting the numbers. And also, to be clear, this isn't just, I'm not just leveling this at Pimax. The whole industry kind of has a bit of a problem with being generous with their FOV numbers and rounding them up or just adding to them. So, yeah. That's the FOV issue. Well, I'll talk about this more in my full review. For now, we have some more stuff to go check out.
Oh, and one more quick note I forgot to mention. These results were done with the hidden area mask disabled, because when I turned it on, I noticed there was a difference of about 6-7 vertical FOV, and you would think you would just want to disable it to get the most FOV, but there might still be reasons you don't want to do that, as there is a little bit of a performance change, and I will touch on that in the next segment, and you can decide for yourself if the performance is worth the extra field of view.
Okay, so to start things off with the performance analysis, we got Resident Evil 8, and it should be quite clear. This is basically unplayable. I am recording, keep in mind, so I probably would be at like 60 or so if I wasn't. And I'm probably in reprojection because this is 120 hertz mode. But here's the thing. I'm using FSR, and I'm still getting this. Let's see what happens when I turn down to normal. Yeah, okay. Look at that. I'm at a wonderful 45 FPS. Yeah, this is totally great. I am 100% absolutely stuck in reprojection hell right now. So, Resident Evil mod. This is on all max settings, but at this resolution, not really playable. I hope Prey Dog comes out with their new rendering method. But we're still going to take a look at how everything looks, obviously, because, I mean, this is one of the highest fidelity things you can look at in VR right now because of how limited most VR games are. And, like, everything looks really good. Some of this stuff actually, like, it gives the raw clarity gets to the point where, like, it gives a bit of a sense of being and feeling kind of real, actually. And, like, the brightness, too. Like, the lights, they actually look bright. They advertise this thing as being 200 nits bright, and yeah, it's putting in work here. I definitely see that. And like, if we take a look at a photo here, like, it actually looks almost like a real photo. That's cool. It gives me the feeling of more like, some people have described it as looking like kind of like a glossy magazine instead of a video game, and it kind of does feel like that. I mean, it's just really cool how sharp everything is getting. It is a shame the performance to maintain that is complete crap. Oh, and this is also where I'm going to talk about, I'm going to briefly show some footage that I edited in of showing the difference between having hidden area mask on versus hidden area mask off, because I did see a little bit of a performance difference when doing those, when comparing those two things, and you can decide for yourself if the extra 5-6 degrees of field of view is worth the performance cost from it. Anyway, I'm going to keep using FSR because simply I can't really deal with that low frame rates. I would prefer even the 50, 55-ish compared to how low everything was. And honestly, like, yeah, there's a little bit more shimmering, but it still looks really, really good, and I'd still probably recommend it. Why not test out the local dimming and blacks in a actual horror game? And so, as you can see, my performance is still really bad, but I am on all maxed out settings, except for I am using FSR on ultra quality, but everything else, it is completely maxed out. If I wasn't recording, I would probably be in the high 70s, maybe very low 80s, depending on stuff, so do keep that in mind. But let's go somewhere dark and take a look at this. And yeah, it's like pitch black out here, but there is some blooming, to be sure. There's definitely a good chunk of it. This would probably be a absolute worst case scenario, though. Like, if we use the flashlight here, and we shine some light, and we look around here, it is a little bit better. But it is still noticeable with, like, the lights. I'd still probably prefer it generally, like, looking up there, that looks really nice. I'd still might prefer it, generally speaking, compared to an LCD panel. I can live with it. I don't know if everyone will, and this is a work in progress. Things may change over time. We'll see what happens. If I can capture some through the lens here, I will, but it might be kind of difficult. So if I don't show any, I apologize. Let's go into the house and take a quick look. Oh my god. It is pitch black in here. I cannot see I don't like... I like it, but I don't like it because that is horrifying. Like, I'm not even kidding. It is utterly black here. I can't see a damn thing without the flashlight. Where's the light switch? I want a light switch. I don't like being in this. I'm not going to do this whole thing because, yeah, it's been a long time since I played Phasmaphobia, and we got a lot of stuff to cover. But, oh my god. I'm actually getting kind of unsettled here. I don't like this. I really do not want to be here. There is still a bit of blooming around the flashlight, but, like, the darkness of everything else and how good it looks. We've already taken a good look, and I've demonstrated how black everything is. I'll take some through the lens. I'll see if I can take some through the lens right here. And, yeah, you know what? Let's move on to the next game. I don't want to be here. I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm not doing this alone. Okay, so here we are in Pavlov, because I want to do some testing on the clarity and how it improves long-distance shooting and sniping. Because everyone talks about, like, flight simulations and being able to read the instruments. But this is something I think is going to benefit from high clarity. However, before we get to that, I'm going to talk about performance for a second. As you can see, I'm pinging between about 70, 75 frames per second here. And, yeah, that's not so great. I'm dipping below 70 a few times even. But I'm going to show you how I can go from this to dropless 120 FPS while recording like magic. Watch this. We're just going to go to anti-aliasing. We're going to set it to low. And just like that, our FPS is shot way up. Okay, well, I'm not quite getting the solid 100... Okay, well, now I'm not quite getting the solid 120 because I'm recording. But, yeah, I mean, look at that. I went from around 70 up to, like, 115, 120. That's that is an insane difference. That's over 50% boost just from turning off anti-aliasing. And here's the thing. Because the crystal is such a high pixel density display, the shimmering is nowhere near as bad as you would expect it to be from turning off AA or, well, turning it so down to low. Like, in front of me, there's not really any shimmer to speak of. Like, if I pixel peep, maybe I'll see a little bit on a few things, but it's not bad. If I look out there, yeah, there's some shimmer. But it is so much better than on lower pixel density displays. It kind of reminds me of, like, the 8KX with maybe the G2 with, like, medium levels of anti-aliasing, maybe slightly higher, give or take a bit. But ask yourself if a little bit of shimmer is worth that much performance. It's on 4090, remember, best card on the planet. And I was still struggling. But just from turning off that one setting, and I'm not even using FSR foveated rendering, my performance is now stellar. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely take a look at this more, but that's for another video. So we're gonna just go ahead and start doing the shooting. I'm gonna start with 100 meters. Yeah, like, honestly, it's still really clear. I can't see the X or anything, but, like, I can make out, sort of. The light is kind of covering it up, but, like, I can sort of see where he is. So we're going to take 5 shots and see how I do. And the tracking is moving a bit, not because of the controllers, but because I'm moving my head when I talk, and it is hard holding a gun steady. Anyone who's played an FPS and tried to do long-distance shooting can probably attest to that. So, let's go. Okay, so let's take a look and see how that panned out. Yeah, honestly, I mean, for not having a gun stock, I am using virtual stock, but for not having my gun stock, like, I think that's pretty good. I want to also just see, like, what's the point in, even for non-holographic, even for a non-like telescopic sight on the snipers, how far I can see and properly make out things on even this sight, because that's something a lot of people will use. We're gonna go 40 meters. Let's see. Yeah, honestly, like, I can still make out the X just barely from this far away. And it looks super clear when... now we're going to try it out and see how this shoots with the gun stock. It's a little bit glitchy, but... yeah, once we aim, look at that. Look at that. It is actually surprisingly good. It's pointing where I want it to, and it's not really jittering or moving around. While I'm aiming, which is actually pretty nice. So let's try and take a few shots here. Alright, let's see how that turned out. Okay, so, I mean, for the most part, that was where I was aiming. And here we are in Life Alyx, another of the highest fidelity games we have for VR. And look at this performance! Wow, my VRAM is also maxed out too, what the shit? And I will say, first thing I want to say is I have dynamic resolution disabled. So that is a big reason for why the performance is so poor right now. But the visuals... oh... I said before, but like some of this stuff, like, it again, looks real. I wonder if there is a option to disable the anti-aliasing. Yeah, Editor Omni here, postscript. I'd just like to say once again, anti-aliasing MSAA can go to hell. Look at this. I disabled Alyx's anti-aliasing, and I went from that awful 60 to basically locked 120 with headroom. And I want to restate, dynamic resolution is disabled. So, yeah. If you are playing at this resolution, just disable anti-aliasing in any game you can. It is the enemy. Alright, back to the rest of the video. Just keep this in mind. Don't pay too much attention to the performance. This is fine. As nice as this is, I don't want to make the whole video just me being like, wow, this is so real. This is so cool. So, I mean, I think I've illustrated the point here. Actually, let me just... let's try actually just a quick little let's test a quick little test of the tracking here. I'm gonna like draw some, you know what, I'll just write my name.
Terrific.
Wait, oops. Okay. We're gonna write the rest in a different color. My handwriting is so big. Oop. I am not a neat handwriter either. Let's see. Omni, what? I don't think I'm gonna fit the full thing. Wait, I think maybe I will just fit it. Close enough. Yeah, I kind of really fumbled the A. Omni. Yeah, some of it is some of it's still a little bit of a work in progress, actually. But some of the, I mean, for being a beta, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I do hope it improves, but it's all right to start with. I didn't have too much issue aiming in Pavlov. So, to sum up my initial impressions after everything, I like what I've used so far, but there's obviously still some stuff to fix. The microphone on this is godlike, though. Top tier for VR, I think it's up there with the Index. Controller tracking does need some work. I'd say it's mostly usable at the moment for some types of games, but others you might have a bit of trouble with, and so we'll see how it goes and how Pimax improves on it over the course of the next month, hopefully. The audio is a little lacking in some places on the DMAS, though. It has a very good sense of space and direction with the off-ears, but there's not really much of any bass to speak of, or bass. However, audio seems to be the main thing they're working on right now, so we'll have to see how that goes. That may get a pretty big update soon. Clarity is pretty stellar. I mean, you've probably heard a million people say that already. FoV is However, due to being a spheric, almost all of the lens is clear, so the FoV doesn't feel quite so limiting compared to, say, the Index. I won't say it feels bigger than it actually is, but just it doesn't feel as limiting, and so it's a little bit more bearable. Though, the biggest surprise for me has to be the comfort. This is probably one of the comfier HMDs I've used, even discounting the top strap here. I used it for about 2 hours without it, but I have this, so I'm going to use it. And it's still been stellar. Like, it fits my head like a glove. The balance is magnitudes better than the 8KX. I can't believe it's actually supposed to be the similar weight to it. It's just unreally good balance. It hugs my face well, and for my face shape, it is probably one of the better fits I've used. Some people with smaller faces may feel a bit otherwise. I mean, the top strap actually barely fits me because my head is so big. But anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to need to spend some time using this as a daily driver and see how things improve over time before I have any strong opinions on it, though. I would be a bad hype machine if I did anything otherwise. But initial impressions are positive, though contingent on the expectations. Some stuff is fixed due to being a beta, and I do want to spend some more time with this in the form of their opinion, so, I don't hate it. Stay tuned for more content covering this HMD if you'd like. Feel free to subscribe if you liked what you saw, and see what I throw out next. I am planning on doing a massive benchmark video covering the crystal and performance, so stick around if you want to see that. Until next time, though, later, and thank you for stopping by.